Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host of today's episode. And today I have Kevin Vaughan, president of Tavco, with me. We're going to be sharing about his journey to business ownership, his maybe some challenges that he's faced along the way, and to give you that inside scoop to what it's like to own and operate a business. Again, if this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Kevin. It's so great to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much, Kay. I appreciate the invite to be here.
Of course. Well, I'd love to dive in. Share just a little bit about yourself.
Well, the company's been around for 40 years. I've been around for 25 years of that. It's a family business for me. My father was the founder and kind of started off with humble beginnings in 1984. And a lot has changed, over the course of time. When the company started out, it was really just a repair service for a technology that doesn't even exist anymore. And that is diazo blue line. So that's how they used to reproduce like construction drawings back in the day. And it was a really kind of a archaic, dirty process. It had special paper and ammonia vapor and all that. But we've definitely transitioned way past that into a lot of new technologies, continuing to serve that same market that we've been involved in for, since the beginning.
Oh, definitely. And so when did you take over? When did you move into the president role?
So that's actually relatively new. It was the end of last year where we just kind of had a transition where I slid into the president position. But to be honest, I've been the vice president for the past 7 years. So in a lot of ways, my job hasn't changed a whole lot. I'm still doing a lot of the same core functions. It's just, added responsibility now.
Okay. And you said you've been around for 40 years. That's incredible. I'd like to share, like, what's your team look like? How many team members do you have? Are you growing?
So we're still relatively small, and we're able to cover a lot of ground through new technologies, and we've gotten into e-commerce and are able to drop ship a lot of product, and we do that coast to coast. There are six of us on the team, and we're based in Central Texas, so in Hutto, just outside of Austin. But we cover directly, the major markets in Texas, including Austin, surrounding areas, Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi. We'll, get up into Waco, and we do a little bit of business in the Dallas and Fort Worth area, but that's pretty saturated. So we don't spend a lot of time going up there, but the other areas we're in all the time.
Oh, wonderful. And looking at kind of where you're looking to grow into the next, say the next year, where do you see the company going?
So a lot of it is going to be the expansion of the technologies that we offer. So just kind of a brief synopsis of what Tavco is. We're an independent reseller of some of the top brands of technologies that are used historically by architects, engineers, and construction companies. So that's where, we got into the reproduction of the large format plans. That's segued into a lot of, digital large format printing and scanning solutions. But we've also added on like digital 3D capture. So we're a authorized provider of Matterport solutions. So if you think about, you've been to one of those realty websites where you get like the tour through the house, kind of like a Google Streets view. So we, offer the cameras and the platform to do that type of digital capture and scanning. So that tends to be a growing area because there's a lot of integration paths into other existing technologies, for instance, like Procore or Autodesk Cloud, where you can tie those twins into those existing workflows and those existing plans that companies are
Mm.
working with. And then HP has offered something brand new to us. We're actually on the cutting edge of this, one of just a few companies that are authorized into this early access program, and it is a AI vectorization platform.
Mhm.
So if you think about some old buildings and structures that the only way they exist in a plan um, scope is really just on paper, because these buildings are so old, they never had a CAD file put together. They may have been drawn by hand. And then so if there is a renovation that needs to happen, they need to basically redraw that project into, a digital CAD platform. And this new uh, solution that's being offered by HP is going to allow you to scan that in as a PDF file, bring that up into the cloud, and with just a button click, get a workable CAD file in just a couple of minutes. So what used to take hours to redraw it manually can be done in a couple minutes. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
those workflow solutions that are really tacking on to all the large format stuff that we've hung our hat on for the past several decades.
Mhm.
And we also have a very robust website and expansive e-commerce store, and so we're doing business coast to coast with any of the equipment, the supplies that we have, and then now these other software solutions that we're bringing to the table.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's incredible. Would you say that your company is kind of a leader in the technology integration with like what you're doing?
We try.
Yeah, I definitely
That's the goal, right?
yeah, I was gonna, yeah, my next question was a lot around like who's your ideal client and what are they looking for? Like how do you stand out to your ideal client?
Well, we had to make a conscious decision a while back, because again, when you think about the large format, the printing scope, our competitive circle, I mean, we've all kind of, done the same thing. And then what's happened is, COVID was a huge change for everyone. But even before that, there's this growing digitization of things. And so that just meant in all office technology, pretty much across the board, just a diminished role of paper. People just aren't printing as much, right? They're sharing things electronically, and here's a PDF file. And so there's workflows set up around that. So that forced a lot of partners like us that deal with this type of equipment to make a decision. And most people chose to go into the graphics realm and get into like vehicle wraps and outdoor signage. And there's a lot of that. And we honestly wanted no part of that. We wanted to stick to our base. And so we made the conscious decision back then to expand our technology offerings to serve that client base rather than try to expand, the market reach into other products. Because if you start getting into signage, that just really takes away from the dialogue that you have with our bread and butter, which is the AEC community. Now, that being said, we do some business outside of that with our large format aqueous graphic printers into like, marketing departments and artists and photographers, people making maps, GIS printing, things like that. So there definitely is a role for that. But what we've decided to do is to expand the technology offering to our core clientele.
Hmm. Okay, that's incredible. And I kind of want to go into the marketing that goes behind this and how you're marketing to gain clients. What are some of the marketing techniques you are using currently that have been successful?
Well, again, another conscious decision, and there's a whole story behind it, but we did, really kind of took a deep dive into growing our digital footprint starting about 2009 to really get the business online. And again, when I look at our competitors, for the most part, I mean, there's always outliers, but for the most part, they're pretty old school, right? So they're still doing outside sales and trade shows and let's drive around and knock on doors. And man, that's a hard way to make a living in today's environment. So in answer to your question, we've, spent a lot of time and a lot of resources on our digital channels, including our website, our e-commerce store. And then we use, all of the promotional channels, email marketing. We do limited social outreach. I just don't find for what we do, we get a ton back from that.
Mhm.
But the thing that's come up that companies are going to have to address is this whole, AI generative search thing. And it shouldn't really scare people because if they're building their websites right and optimizing them correctly and putting good content out there, then not only, traditionally is that going to help you in like, Google organic search and things like that, but it's also going to get you indexed and shown up in generative results. And so
Mm.
the AI engines will be grabbing your information as well. And so, we've already kind of tested and seen that to where, depending on what platform you're using, where we come up as one of the top results.
Okay, that is incredible. I like that you pivoted. I think that's like a huge golden nugget is you made those conscious decisions as a business to go a different route or go the route that works for you. So I thank you for sharing that. Looking at the future, actually, let's take it back. Looking at maybe the past year that you've been president, what is a challenge that you faced that you overcame and how did you do it?
Uh, a lot of it is just over the past year, the economy's been a little wonky with interest rates and things like that. And in my experience, and I've been through this, several times in the past, the big recession and all that. The two budgets that tend to get cut by companies being our clientele is marketing and advertising and technology. And so when we sell technology, sometimes, that gets tough to try to get people off center. So, what it's just required a lot of tenacity and a lot of, stick with itness to get out there and showcase what's new in front of people to get them turned on to new technologies and get them inspired to level up their workflow to bigger and better things. So, that's kind of helped move the needle for us a little bit. And then again, just growing that e-commerce channel because that opens up a bigger market for us to tap into.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of looking at your team, um, as a leader of your team, how do you see, like, how would you define your leadership style in your team?
So my leadership style, I would consider, very collaborative. I don't consider myself an authoritarian, though somebody may argue that. No, no, we have a good relationship with our team. And the thing is, I mean, you have to think with our company, our staff, we have good tenure there. I think our junior person has been there 7 years.
Okay, so
So
you
it's
can.
7+. So we know each other. We don't have a lot of turnover. I value their opinions. But I gotta tell you, for me personally, a lot of my leadership style comes from as a young man where I spent my military time in the Marine Corps, and it was very big at that time to teach small unit leadership. And as a junior person or a junior enlisted Marine, you would be put into situations where you had to step up and lead because that could happen, right? In time of conflict, somebody needs to step up. If a senior person gets taken down, then somebody needs to come into that. So we like to um, operate with a decentralized kind of a leadership where everybody has some authority. Now, it's important to note that just because you can delegate authority, you can't delegate responsibility. So, in a lot of ways, I'm still responsible for everything. I just kind of enable my team to go out and make certain decisions and trust their decisions. And then we just, uh, kind of review that and debrief that and figure out ways to move forward from there. But it's worked out well for us.
Good. That's so good to hear. This has been so inspiring to just hear your story and how you pivoted when you need to and shifted with the different changing of times. Looking at the future of your business now, let's take it a little bit further. Look at like the next 3 to 5 years. What is something you want to accomplish in those years?
Well, a lot of it's just keeping up with the changes in the technology because you do have things that happen where the habits of our customers change, as we experienced with, a lot of the paper devices, right? So we want to grow into the other technology channels, the 3D imaging and some of this AI vectorization, these other AI tools that are going to be rolled out. HP, we're an authorized HP partner, and they are created this entire platform they're calling Build Workspace that's going to be outfitted with a bunch of different tools for documentation, for communication and collaboration. And so this AI Vectorize is just kind of the first part of that. That's what they're really kind of going to market with. So I see a lot of runway ahead for us on, along that channel to bring in those new technologies as they come along.
And definitely. So what are some of the things that you're doing to make sure to keep up with those times as it's shifting and growing?
Just keep the finger on the pulse. A lot of it has to do with talking with our clients and what they're hearing, what they're seeing changes in their workflow. But then I spent a lot of time networking and doing our vendor relations. And since we represent like four major brands, I actually get a nice, you know, uh, kind of a barometer from all of those different resources. Now, it can be a little dangerous if you just stick with one brand because, they kind of tend to look at things through, tunnel vision. It's just kind of hard to get that expansive view sometimes. But, once you get it from multiple sources and multiple different technology providers, you can kind of put together a good picture. So we just follow the trends as they come along. And then we're going to spend a lot more time integrating AI, which on our website, we've already, have several AI powered tools to enhance the user experience where, people can get answers and even support for equipment, through that chat type format.
Definitely. Well, I love the embrace and like going, embracing the technology as we go into that season for sure. This has been such a good conversation so far, and now I'd like to go into our rapid fire Q&A, which is 4 questions I ask you and you answer very top of mind.
Okay.
All right, question number 1 is what is the key to success for you?
Staying client focused.
Mm. Solid. And what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Invest in your digital marketing and don't be afraid of AI. Embrace it.
Mm. Number 3 is what is a piece of content? It could be a book, a podcast, something that you've taken in.
What do you mean taken in?
Like
Like,
read or listened to.
oh, okay. Like a book. So there's a book called Building a Story Brand, I think is the name, and it just got released. It's Building Story Brand 2.0 by Donald Miller.
Hmm.
And if companies really want to know how to improve their messaging and resonate with their target buyer or their perfect customer, that's a great tool, a great book.
Oh, that looks like a good one. I have a background in branding, so I definitely want to check that out.
I highly recommend it.
Thank you. And the final question is, if you had a magic wand and you could rapidly change one aspect of your business for the better, what would it be?
Get more market share.
Definitely. That is a good one. Well, again, this has been such a fun conversation. Before we get to our final question, let's share the word about your business. How can people get connected with your business online?
So to check us out online, our website is tavcotech.com, and it's TAVCOTECH.com. Um, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to get to. As a matter of fact, I was an early adopter of LinkedIn, so I have kind of a goofy handle, but I'm at Texas Kevin. So just look up for that and you can find me.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Kevin. Again, so inspired. So, my final question is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Um, Networking and meeting new people, have an opportunity to to be on here and share some ideas, and hopefully it is something that can benefit other people and other companies.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Again, so great to meet you and have this conversation.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.